Hello everyone, this is Abhishek Singh and we are today going to start the magnetostat topic, and this is the revision summary of EMFT part 11. So let us start. Okay, so magnetostatics. The first part is current in a wire. If a current is present in a wire, let's say I draw a wire, this is a wire and it has a current I, or this problem can be seen equivalently as if this wire has a line charge density lambda, if the wire has a line charge density lambda and that charges are moving with velocity v, that charges are moving with velocity v, then the current I would be equal to, can be equated to lambda times that velocity of charges v. Okay, this is how we deal the current in a wire. And the second case is surface current, and this surface current is denoted by k vector. Okay, so let's say we have a surface, so this is a surface and we have a surface charge density distributed over the surface sigma. Okay, and the charges in this surface are moving with velocity v in this direction, in downward direction. Okay, the entire surface, I have not drawn the entire surface, but let's say the charges are moving in a particular direction in entire surface. So let us take a strip of that surface, this is a strip of that surface, a thin strip of that surface, and this strip will contain a small charge di, a small line current di, and that length which is perpendicular to the flow of this current is flowing in this direction, and the length let's say dl, which is perpendicular to this direction of flow of current dl perpendicular, so that k is defined as di over dl, di over dl perpendicular, and this is equal to sigma times the velocity of those charges. Let's say those charges are moving with velocity v, these are moving with velocity v, so k is equivalently written as sigma times v as well, and the other definition of k is di over dl perpendicular, where dl is an infinitesimal length in the direction perpendicular to the flow of current. Okay, so let us see volume current. Let's say we have a volume, and this volume has a volume charge rho, this volume has a volume charge rho distributed inside that volume, and the charges are moving with velocity v in a particular direction. So let's say there is a small surface perpendicular to the flow of charges, this is dA perpendicular. So the volume current, which has a symbol of J, is represented or is given by di over dA perpendicular, di over dA perpendicular, which is equivalent of writing rho times velocity v of the charged particles. This is volume current J. Okay, so let us move to the forward and see the condition for steady current. Okay, what is the condition of steady current? So let us see the continuity equation first, And let's say we have some charge region. This is some charge region which is surrounded by a surface S and has some volume V, some volume V. Okay, and let's say charges are coming outside this charge region. Charges are coming outside this charge region. Okay, so the total current I is given by closed surface integral j dot dA. Okay, this is how we define total current if we are given with volume current density J. Okay, so it is given by total surface or closed surface integral of J dot dA current. And we know we can apply here Gauss divergence theorem, and we can say it is equivalent to volume integral of del dot J d tau, del dot J d tau. Okay, and we also know current is given by, current can also be written as the charges are moving outward of that region, so charges are decreasing, so minus del rho over del t times d tau. We can also write current as the rate at which volume charge is decreasing times infinitesimal volume integral over volume. Okay, so now you can compare both the terms, this term and this term, and you can write del dot j is equal to minus del rho over del t. This equation written in front of you is continuity equation in magnetostatics. Okay, okay. So this continuity equation represents the local conservation of charge. And let us see what is the case of steady magnetic field. What if we have a steady current? For steady current, we have rho constant. We have rho as constant for steady current. Rho is constant for steady current. Okay, which means if rho will be constant in this term, then you can write del dot j is equal to 0. This is the condition for steady current. Del dot j is equal to 0, and the magnetic field produced by this type of current is called magnetostatics, study of the magnetic field. Okay, so next topic is magnetic force experienced by a current element in an external magnetic field. Okay, so we have to put a line charge, let's say, which has line charge density lambda, which is moving with velocity v. So overall we can write the current I is flowing inside that wire. Let's say this is dl, infinitesimal length of that wire. Okay, and this wire is placed in an external magnetic field which is pointing outward of your screen, perpendicular to the screen. Okay, which is denoted by that dot inside the circle, which means the magnetic field is pointing outward of your screen, perpendicular to the screen. Okay, so now we can write that small charge dq present in length dl is nothing but lambda times dl. Small charge dq present in length dl is lambda times dl. Okay, and we know the force or magnetic force on a small charge dq, which is moving with velocity v in presence of some external magnetic field, is given by Q V cross B. This is the formula for magnetic force. Okay. Now that dq can be written as lambda times dl V cross B. Okay. You can write this, and now you can again rearrange this as dl times lambda V vector cross B, and we know lambda V is nothing but I cross B. This is not the right way to write this equation. This can be written as I dl cross B. This is the correct way to write this. This is small force on a length dl having current I in presence of magnetic field B. Okay, so the total force F would be given by a closed line integral of I is constant that can be taken outside dl cross B. I times line integral dl cross B is the total magnetic force on a wire of length L and current I in presence of magnetic field B. Okay, so let us see an example. This is not a sheet, this is a rectangular loop of wire, and let's say current is flowing in this direction in the wire, and this loop of wire is placed in a magnetic field. So let me draw the magnetic field. This cross is denoting that magnetic field is perpendicular to the screen, pointing inside the screen. Okay, so this rectangular loop of wire is present in external magnetic field which is pointing inwards of the plane with magnitude B. Okay, so now the question is, what is the net force on this loop of wire which is completely inside the region filled with magnetic field B. Okay, so we know we can write this as, this is let's say x direction, x cap, this is let's say y cap. Okay, so we have defined x cap and y cap. Now let us give the name to the points 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we can write that magnetic force F mag is given by I times, as the loop is closed, so closed line integral of dl cross B. dl cross B. This can be broken into 4 parts. I times 4 parts. First part will be, we know dl and b are always perpendicular. Is in the plane, and b is perpendicular to the plane. So dl and b are always perpendicular. So sine 90 is 1. So you can again take the b common. First integral will be from 1 to 2 dl plus b integral 1 to 2, it was 1 to 2, 2 to 3 dl. Similarly, the other two parts, b times integral 3 to 4 dl plus b times integral 4 to 1 dl. And you can put the values and you will get it as equal to I times b a y cap, taking the direction into account, plus I b a x cap, I b a x cap, and the remaining two terms will be same in magnitude but opposite in direction. So I b a minus y cap plus I BA minus X cap. So this will cancel, this will cancel. So the net force will be equal to 0 on this wire. There is no net force on the wire inside the magnetic field B. Okay, so this was an example. Now let us see Biot-Savart's law and superposition principle. What is Biot-Savart's law and the superposition principle? So Biot-Savart's law deal with the magnetic field due to a line charge. So I'm drawing the line charge. Let's say you have a line in which current I is flowing. Okay. Let's say from a point to a point P, you have a position vector r and the direction is r cap. Okay, and this length where with respect to which we are talking is dl. Okay, dl length. Now the magnetic field at point P is given by mu naught over 4 pi, current I is constant, integral dl cross r cap divided by mod r square, and this is a line integral. This is a line integral. So this is the mathematical form of Biot-Savart's law. Okay, so this law can also be written in form of surface charge and volume charge, which I am not writing here. Okay, so let us see magnetic field due to finite wire. What is the magnetic field due to finite wire? So let's say we have a finite wire, and let's say this is a point O, and we are interested in calculating magnetic field at a height d above the point O. Let's say this point is P. This point is P, which is d height above the point O, and this wire is containing a current I. Let us take some arbitrary length dl. This is the length dl, which is making an angle theta with the perpendicular. Let's say this vector is r vector. Okay, now what is the formula for calculating magnetic field at P due to this wire? We know using Biot-Savart's law. Biot-Savart's law tells us B at P is mu naught I over 4 pi line integral of dl cross r over mod r, dl cross r over mod r square is the magnetic field at P. So we have to separately calculate dl cross r and 1 over mod r square. Okay, so dl cross r in this case, is d sec theta tan theta, d sec theta d theta. You can easily calculate this by some manipulations, mathematical manipulation, and the 1 by r square is cos square theta over d square. Okay, this is 1 over r square. You can put these values over here and integrate it over the length of the wire, and you will get magnetic field B as mu naught I over 4 pi d. D is the height, and we will get a term sine theta 2 minus sine theta 1. Okay, so note this formula. This is very important formula, which is the magnetic field due to finite wire. What are theta 1 and theta 2? I will show what is theta 1 and theta 2 on the next page. Let me show here only. Let's say you have a wire, this much wire, and you wish to calculate magnetic field at that point. This is d height, though the first point of the wire, and this is the second point of the wire. Okay, so this angle is theta 1 and this angle is theta 2. This is how we define theta 1 and theta 2. So you can see that for infinite wire, theta 2 should be 90 degree and theta 1 should be minus 90 degree. If you take theta 1 in opposite direction, then a minus sign will come automatically. You can see for infinite wire, theta 2 would be pi by 2 and theta 1 would be minus of pi by 2. We put these values in this equation, you will get B as equal to mu naught I over 2 pi d. This is the case of infinite wire. And for semi-infinite wire, you can again see from this diagram, for semi-infinite wire, theta 1 would be 0 degree, wire would be from this to infinity, theta 1 would be 0 degree and theta 2 would be pi by 2. So if you put theta 2 is equal to pi by 2 and theta 1 is equal to 0 degree in this equation, you will get B is equal to, this is B infinity and this is B semi infinity is equal to mu naught I over 4 pi d. Okay, so let us see magnetic field due to a ring. What is the formula for magnetic field due to a ring? Let us see its derivation. And let's say we are interested in calculating magnetic field at point P, which is, let's say, d height above the center of the ring, and the ring has a radius of capital R. Let us draw a line joining these points. This small elemental length dl will have some current di, due to which we can calculate the magnetic field at this point using Bird-Savarot's law. Then we have to take component of this magnetic field, one along this direction and one along perpendicular to this direction. So the perpendicular component will cancel and the component along this direction will remain, and we have to integrate that component over the entire ring. You will get magnetic field due to entire ring at height d above from the center is mu naught I over 2, and the formula is r square divided by r square plus d square to the power 3 by 2, and the direction is again z cap. This direction is defined as z cap. This is the magnetic field due to a ring of radius r at the height d above from the center of the ring. Okay, so let us calculate for a special case about field at center. Field at center means d should be equal to 0. When you put d equal to 0 in this expression, you will get b is equal to b at center is equal to mu naught I over 2r. Mu naught I over 2r. This is again in the z cap direction. Mu naught I over 2r. You can directly remember this formula. This is very important formula, and you can solve many questions based on this formula only. So let us generalize this formula. This is actually the magnetic field at the center of a ring containing current I. Let's say we don't have a complete ring. We have some part of a ring. Let's say we have some part of a ring, this much part of a ring, which is making an angle of this is the angle, okay, angle of theta, and it contains a current I. So then this is the point P. Then the magnetic field at P is given by mu naught I over 2 R times theta over 360 degree. Theta is in degree. Okay, so this is magnetic field due to uh, ring part which is having an angle theta. So what if the ring is half ring? Then this quantity will be helped, which is dp is equal to mu naught over 4r for a half ring. Similarly, you can solve for n rings. Mu naught over 2r would be multiplied by n in that case. Okay, so now let us discuss a question which has been asked in previous year JAM examination. And what is the question saying? The question says, consider a thin, long insulator coated conducting wire carrying current I. It is now wound once around an insulating thin disc of radius r to bring the wire back on the same side as shown in the figure. The magnetic field at the center of the disc is equal to. So you can see this is a 3 by 2 rotation. This is a complete rotation and this is an extra rotation. Then the wire goes like this and it came like this. Okay, so this is a 3 by 2 rotation. You can easily notice this. So due to the circular part, the magnetic field at the center would be 3 by 2 times mu naught I over 2r. This is the magnetic field due to the ring part. Now the magnetic field due to this semi-infinite wire is mu naught I over 4 pi r, and also due to this other semi-infinite wire would also be in the same direction. So I can directly multiply by this. This is due to wire, B wire, and this is B due to circle. So total B is the sum of these two quantities. When you add these two quantities, you will see that you will get option B as your answer. Okay, so these are some very easy questions which can be solved using directly the formulas for calculating magnetic field due to a ring or due to any number of ring. That number can be fraction as well. Okay, and we have also used here the magnetic field due to semi-infinite wire case. Okay, so I have directly used that formula, and I would suggest you guys to remember these formulas to save your time in exam. So dear students, if you are new to Eduncle, you can subscribe for IIT JAM, CSIR NET and UGC NET exams study material which is prepared by India's top experienced faculties. Also, you can download the Eduncle's mobile application where more than 250 tutors will be answering your doubts. Thank you.